It's the SDG Podcast. Before we get started, you can check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com/podcast or find us on all the social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Solution Design Group. Welcome, everybody, to another podcast. We're talking to Peter Lawrence today, Chad Jutner, Payal Patel, welcome back, and the mighty Brian Ganis.
Hello.
I don't know. I just feel like saying mighty. If I can work in the word mighty.
Somebody's got to be mighty.
I will do it.
Here.
Yeah. And I'm Kyle Bacher. And we're going to look back on the year we just had, since this is going to be our last podcast of the year, 2024. Talk about podcast highlights, some SDG stuff, personal stuff. Let's go around the horn. Like, what's a big thing that you did this year that you're proud of? Starting with Peter.
I was going to say, I'm afraid to even answer that because we were just talking about it, and don't want to hurt your feelings, Kyle, because you're just consulting. So, I did manage to win an SDG award, which is nice. Always nice. Feels good. And I'm still at a client and still extended. So all those are good consulting things for me.
Yes. Working.
Good work things.
I think we have 4 SDG award winners here from this year, and me.
The podcast.
Womp, womp. I've got a little hero trophy and a can of Spam that holds me over.
I think you just don't qualify because you've won it too many times, right?
Yeah. They have to save room for other
Well,
people.
let's just go with it, Kyle.
Not every year. I had some bad years. There were some dark times early on. I've been here almost 15 years. So
is that with an asterisk?
There's an asterisk in there. There was a 10-month exodus and return, a little boomerang action. Enough about me.
How was your year, Kyle? What did you do that was wonderful?
I got through like a rough patch first quarter with the compliance for our security. So I got us compliant for our cybersecurity insurance so that we still have it. And then after that, I built a low-code app that I'm rebuilding now. It'll be much better. And that's how I'm going to finish. I want to finish strong on that note. In between, it was just a sea of tasks and requests and things like that. So trying to keep afloat.
Isn't it funny how compliance seems like such a little tiny accomplishment, but when you think about all the work that you did, it's just like, I'm so happy to be out from under that truck.
There was a relief and a week off, and but
a week off with every security compliance.
Yeah, you're kind of burned out when you take a week off and you come back and you're like, okay, I need to do another week or two. How was your year?
Kind of the same as Peter's, I think. Happy to have a client. Excited about the SDG award. I guess at my client, I kind of got a new role-ish, some new responsibilities, which it's nice to feel trusted to shake things up. So
I try to avoid responsibility whenever I can.
We've noticed.
Brian Ganis.
I will +1 to what Peter and Pyle said. I also was very fortunate to win the award, and I've had a client that I don't think the extension is going to be hugely long, but I did get extended beyond the normal time frame we were anticipating. So it was great to, demonstrate enough value that they're willing to put a few extra bucks into keeping me on for a little longer. So that was great. Specifically, I really got to flex my BA muscles again at this client. And, a lot of kind of hybrid stuff, BA, Scrum Master type role that I've been doing in the past. I really got to lean into the BA stuff this year. And it was a lot of fun because that's the part of the job I love the most. And I got to do a lot of it this year. It was great.
That's a gift.
Yeah.
That's a gift in consulting when you're doing the thing you love to do the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chad Jutner.
Doing the thing you love. Chad Jutner.
Well, like Brian and Pyle and Peter, I'm happy to get an SDG award. What was the question? What are we proud of?
We're mainly just patting ourselves.
Yeah, what's your highlight
right
from last year? What do you got? You got anything special?
Special. I was told that this year I set a utilization record for our company.
Nice.
That feels nice. For a company that's 35 years old, to have worked and billed more hours than anybody else ever.
I don't think it's total. I think it's just year.
In a year, yeah. in a 12-month period, that felt it felt nice to hear that from during my retro. That was it's been a crazy year for me and for my client. And I got to design ridiculously large and complex systems and solve very, very hard problems.
And went live, right?
We are the solution that we've developed is live. The next generation of the solution that we're developing is going live here soon. I think so, yeah. So yeah, it's been an incredibly exhausting year, but I'm happy, for what we've accomplished and what the team that I'm working with. That's been my biggest deal is the team that I'm working with is incredible. Yeah. So not only do I get to do a lot for STG, but I get to, during my day job with, STG Resources as a client, and the resources that I'm working with are just top notch. So that's something I'm pretty happy about.
I like to add on top of that, Chad does a podcast. He's one of the leaders of our AI community, and a lot of other stuff. I don't know how you do it all, Chad. I
heard he takes a nap every once in a while.
Yeah, it's leading the AI community has been pretty cool. Leading the Java community has been pretty cool. The client work has been pretty cool. Participating in a lot of our events has been cool. Speaking at OSN this year was fun. And then speaking nice. At our big event earlier this year was also cool. I think I'm going to take the last half of 2025 off.
You're going to go on sabbatical, go on a world tour.
Yeah.
Take that cruise ship from Duluth down to the Antarctic. It's only like $76,000 a ticket. OSN was very successful this year. I went. It was my first one. 1,212 attendees. One? Yes.
Oh, man.
1,212 attendees.
That was awesome.
That was yesterday. 12/12.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go on.
Tying it together.
Yeah. We had, I looked at our podcast stats, and I haven't done a yearly to kind of see our growth, but I feel like it's grown quite a bit when I look through we did 42 podcasts this year. I think this might be 150 that we've done since we started. Wow. And 4,405 listens since we've been doing it. I do like to go in and start and stop podcasts and pad those numbers as much as possible. A lot of bots listen. They give great feedback though.
Big bot farm in China.
66% impactful plays, which means people listen to at least 2/3 of the podcast. And the average time is 28 minutes. So we got to get all the good stuff packed into the first half hour. And then the second half hour, we stray off topic and just kind of tank and give people an excuse to hang up. So
that's an excellent operating model.
It is.
I like to think of it from a different perspective. Maybe they only had half an hour on their lunch break and then, had to drop even though they wanted to continue to listen.
I'm going with it. That's perfect. Every podcast that people listen to is successful. And I feel good about that. STG, we had a lot of stuff happen kind of public facing. We did with our website. I'm going to read some of this. The What We Do section, we added, I think, 5 case studies.
Nice.
Which case studies are difficult to put together, to say the least. There's a lot of coordination and permission and all that stuff. Brian, you worked at the Star Tribune, and that's one of the case studies. And so we typically don't mention names of customers and things like that. But in this case, since we have a case study out there, that's something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was a very challenging project that they took on, and they succeeded. I mean, it's a huge amount of work went into making that happen, and it was fast. It worked. I mean, what better thing can you say at the end other than it worked?
Right.
I was inspired to subscribe. That's even better.
That is even better.
Yeah, I think for context, for anyone that hasn't looked at the case study, Star Tribune went through not only a rebrand of itself and gave themselves a new name, a new look, the Minnesota Star Tribune, to geographically align themselves, but they completely relaunched their website and app, basically an entire new tech stack to ready themselves for the future, and they're ready. The look and feel of the website is definitely different, but honestly, it's the back end stuff that all changed, and the programming languages that make it all work is all new. All of the developers are working to get familiar with all of the new tech that now drives their website forward, and everyone's doing a great job. It's a lot of work, but it's had a huge payoff, and to be able to see the results tangibly like that on their new website is just it's a really rewarding and phenomenal experience. So I know our case study specifically got into kind of the more technical details of the AWS implementation related to the back-end work, which is not typically where I find my own expertise aligning, but I know that they did a lot of great work in that regard. My hope is to also publish 1 or 2 case studies related to my direct work at Star Tribune as well, namely in regard to, where kind of related to one of our previous topics, the state of Agile in the modern software world, as well as just kind of the idea of how much guidance needs to be provided with an engineering team versus letting them kind of do their own thing. So those are the 2 topics I really want to tackle.
That's awesome. We actually, when I say we, STG, our marketing team, Claire and Emily, with the help of Jason Scherschlicht, did a lot of work adding content to our website, and we now have a comprehensive list of all the services we provide, that is huge. That's years in the making, and so that was, and I work with them doing stuff every week, and I'm in the channel where they worked on that stuff, and there was a lot of activity. It took a lot of work. Speaking of Jason, the Pollinator is going strong, and that's our newsletter focused on product that he puts out, and it grew by 50%.
Nice.
Yep.
Since
a lot
its
of
inception, or do you know over what span of time?
In the last year. It grew by 50%, and then I think its inaugural year was 2023, early on.
Okay.
So that's pretty
cool.
good. A lot of great content out there. So we had a lot of podcasts this year. Peter, do you have a favorite one we did?
There's a nice list of podcasts, and I was going through the whole list, and it was very hard to pick like a favorite because there were so many that were really rock stars. I thought I really looked way back to the Apple Vision Pro, which, has fallen on a little bit hard times lately, which is one of those funny things that, who could have predicted? I don't know. But just that whole talk about it was exciting, and it was fun to see somebody be excited about new technology, and it's kind of like that at SDG, right? If somebody finds a new technology that they're really excited about, and they get to talk about it, like Chad and AI. I've been listening to Chad talk about AI for a couple of years now, and he's still just as excited as always.
I would say I am excited about the technology, and I'm excited about the products that are being made now based on that technology. But I am starting to get fatigued with how everything just gets the AI label slapped on it.
My pencil sharpener with AI is arguing with you,
Yeah.
But,
right. Like machine learning models now, if you have an ML model, it's not an ML model anymore. It's an AI, blah, 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 right? Like we've just hijacked the word, so many different things. And that's exhausting. But I mean, genuinely, I was using Perplexity the other day to help me plan. I'm horrible at taking time off and taking vacations.
Well, you can't.
We got that earlier. Yeah.
We've talked about your utilization.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that you're not wrong, right? Like I took a day off in 2022, but I'm going to do another one here in 2025, I think. And I used an AI search to help me plan out. I'm a big Ernest Hemingway fan, so I'm going to head down to the Florida Keys, and visit his place and live like him for a little while, probably without, a couple key elements. The 6-toed cats. The thing that surprised me is just like how perfectly, like I just went in there. I'm like, hey, I like Ernest Hemingway, stupid looking cars, dive bars, and blah, blah, blah. And it gave me this huge itinerary. And depending on which one you used, Perplexity's was like the most detailed. Google's actually had like, hey, do you want me to book this for you? Like right in the AI search results. Like, holy crap. It was the rocket ship from zero to that over the last, 18 months has been insane. And so that now all of a sudden I'm excited again. I'm like, okay, really smart people are doing really, really cool things with this. And then I've been using more and more of it on side projects. It's not really authorized at my client yet, but on side projects to help me write my own in my, the free time that I have, I'm writing a few things, and I'm using AI to help me accelerate what I don't know, because I don't know front end development, but you wouldn't know that from looking at what I can do with AI. So I'm pumped again. And I think that entire, I think last year we were talking about AI as kind of an add-on to the tool sets that we were using, and that's where we were going to see the immediate value.
Right.
What I saw just this week with how it can help me plan a trip is amazing, and it just in my head, it just sparked all sorts of new ideas on how I can use that, how I can build products better with actual value from AI, not just like a label that says, hey, powered by AI, and then it does like, it's a chatbot or some nonsense.
Yeah. If you use a word for everything, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, I really liked the string of Agile stuff we did, and there was some tension. There's some strong opinions, and it was a process, and I loved how it turned out. Yeah. And thank you, Brian. You were a big part of that.
Thank you. I mean, that would have been my answer. Obviously, it's coming from a very selfish perspective of that was an episode I got to be on, but I really enjoyed that discussion. And as I said during the episode itself, it's a discussion we need to have in the industry. We should never get complacent and just decide that Agile/Scrum is the way to do things. Keep analyzing. Keep looking at it. So I was happy to be a part of that.
Or keep putting the label on it and overuse it like AI.
Exactly. Yes, 100%.
Everyone's Agile.
Yep.
The cool thing that came out of that for me personally, because I had opinions, I think, is that I've been able to have individual discussions with folks that didn't necessarily agree with my opinions. So the podcast internally at SDG, it exposes other people to specifically me, Peter, and Kyle, like what we think about things, and it sparks a lot of discussions. And I actually got to have one-on-one discussions with folks where I was able to explain, like, hey, right, like whatever you think of my opinions of it, here's my day-to-day, like here's the life I live. And I think we got into this, Brian, like this is literally like what I'm going through. And it's given an Agile label on it. And so this is why I get frustrated with it. And then, maybe they still don't necessarily agree with me or the way that I've voiced my concerns, but they understand them now and can empathize a little bit.
And that was something I got to experience both within the recording itself and the conversations outside that you and I had, Chad. It's very illuminating, and it's one of those things of, I'm in it every day. These things make more sense to me when I'm the one helping to execute the overall strategy, but having these conversations is what helps prompt to pull me out of that cycle and remember that these are human beings I'm dealing with, not little AI chatbots that do whatever I tell them to do. And it's a helpful reminder, and conversations like this are what prompt them.
And the good thing for me too is that I do actually like I don't want just free reign to say, like, I don't want to just throw things out there and say this is how it is and this is whatever. If there's somebody that doesn't agree with what I'm thinking, then absolutely please tell me directly if you could. Like directly and not through, all sorts of channels. That'd be nice. And that's what happened with that. To a degree, it happened. And I like that a lot. Pyle, we talked about this a couple of times.
Yep.
At a bar.
It came up even in our happiness episode.
It did, yes. And it wouldn't have if we hadn't had this podcast. So I really like that.
Yeah.
So Agile equals happy. Got it.
Well, let's hold on there.
Next topic, Kyle. Bring us there, please, if you would.
The one we did on dark patterns, I liked. I kind of like the, to see what evil is up to, looking at some of those things. And then you see them everywhere. Like, you're cancel shaming me. How dare you?
Yep.
Well, that was the Camille episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun, especially when we asked her, like, have you ever implemented these intentionally? She had a good answer for a lot of that. That was cool.
I haven't listened to this yet, but I want to. So
yeah,
it's worth it. It was a very good episode.
We made a lot of predictions, I think, throughout the year. You guys, I think Peter and Chad both got it right on the Apple Vision Pro. I was excited about it, and then I heard about the long-term, like if you wear it for a long time, some of that kind of stuff. But
I mean, the headaches and dizziness will go away eventually.
It's like neck pain.
Once it molds to your skin.
Once it fuses with you and you become a cyborg, then it's a little uncomfortable.
I'm still excited about that thing, though, because I think the first iPod sucked.
Yeah.
So we'll
yeah.
I do like it when companies swing for the fences, right?
Yeah.
They take a shot. And I don't think they went halfway into this system, right? They tried to put together an amazing, Apple Vision Pro, right?
And there's a lot about it that is really amazing. Like the price. Hey, thank you. Speaking of wearable technology, have you seen anything about the Ray-Ban smart glasses that Meta is putting out?
Besides the ads that constantly follow me around the internet?
I've just seen the ads. I've never looked into it.
I haven't either.
I feel like now I will get the ads since we're talking about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Great.
What are we saying, Chad?
I don't know that it's the same thing, but our friend Chris Tollefson, he's one of our DevOps consultants, and one of my best friends. He has the Snapchat. Oh, sorry, dude. He's got the Snapchat glasses where you can just like tap it and it'll send a Snapchat thing of whatever you're looking at. Those are really cool.
Lord. I don't even have a Snapchat, let alone know about tech to send Snapchats more easily.
Got to get with the youth.
Yeah, you got to get.
My brother sometimes, so I have a 22-year-old brother, and sometimes I discover things on my phone where I'm like, ooh, I didn't know you can like send a text message with confetti. And he's like, that's from like the iPhone 7. How do you work in tech? What is wrong with you?
Welcome to 3 years ago.
I'm like, great.
I have Snapchat because of my children. That's the only way they will communicate. Like if I send them a text message, they'll like ignore it until I send it via Snapchat. They're like, yeah. Send it like what I forget what my daughter said. Said something like,
might as well call.
Yeah. Hey, Grandpa, quit texting. Send it us.
They don't want a permanent record of their responses to your question.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
It's smart.
So other duds, I think I wrote some down. Wearable AI, those wearable AI pins that were supposed to allow you to talk to it and get answers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not there yet. I
don't know that was ever something anybody. It was a thing that existed. Nobody. If you have a telephone in your pocket, what is a pin going to do that Siri won't?
The use case that I have thought about that, and this was years before we ever started talking about AI even, but my mom was a nurse at Regions Hospital for a long time, and they implemented a very similar system. Like they basically had like a Star Trek comm badge, and you would tap this thing on your shirt, and you could do all sorts of stuff with it. I think the main thing you used it for was to page various people throughout the hospital, but we've been trying this for like jobs of that nature for a while, and I do see a lot of benefit there. People who kind of need to have their hands free and generally don't want their personal cell device available in their pocket at all times. So I think there's definitely good use cases out there, but I think they're very specific for very specific industries, very specific jobs, etc.
And I think that was the thing with Google Glass as well, right? Didn't they have an industry Google Glass version too that was supposed to be helpful?
Yeah. That was Google Glass was like 12 years ago. I've got to imagine that. I mean, all of that stuff is going to mature to the point where it's as normal as iPhones. I'm confident. I think. I mean, in a few years, we're not going to have desktops or laptops. We'll just have this thing we put on our head and a keyboard and blah blah blah. Maybe
it's hard. It's hard to see that from where we are.
I hope so. Yeah.
I think the ability to have that wearable tech and then AI integrated with it, and then the ability to prompt it to set context, like, okay, I'm going to be going through this store, I want to do price comparisons on this stuff, or make sure I'm not getting fooled by shrinkflation. Fun is not a unit of measurement. Just want to get that out there.
Americans will measure in anything except for meters.
We're not doing metric.
It's the size of 3 747s.
CrowdStrike happened this year. That was, as we would say in Minnesota, that was interesting. Yeah.
It affected me directly only because my son was flying home from Tennessee during that. Well, but he got here, but he's like, Dad, I'm at the airport and I can't pull up the app. And I'm like, oh, just go to the counter, dude. I'm sure they'll be able to help you out. He was like, oh, there's a big line for some reason. This is never busy. But it was like he was literally in the first hour of that whole thing. And then by the time his plane was in the air, they were canceling flights. That was incredible.
Moment of silence for CrowdStrike.
I watched.
Well-deserved
Pour
one.
one out.
Yeah.
I did this year watch a rocket get caught by a big thing, like a 20-story high building. I'm like, what the heck? This is the future. We're in the space age now.
Yeah.
It's happening. We can catch rockets. That's pretty good. Boeing had a satellite blow up. That happened. I didn't really dig into that, but it's always a bummer when you lose a new satellite.
Pour one out for the satellites.
A lot of space stuff happened. They landed some new tech on the moon, so we're back messing with the moon again.
We went to the
We
moon.
don't break it.
I don't know.
We
It's
didn't
debatable,
send
I think.
people. We just sent a bunch of equipment,
I think
sensors.
Kyle's front page algorithms clearly have a bias towards space-related news that's appearing, but
Yeah.
I did a bunch of research and put a whole bunch of stuff together. So, some of it I didn't even know, like new products like Canva Magic Studio. Have you guys tried that?
Canva?
I've
been
tried
staying away from-
Canva, but
Yeah,
what's the Magic
I've used
Studio?
Canva. What's Magic Studio?
It's like a big AI thing that's built
Oh,
into
of
it
course
now.
it's AI.
It's AI,
We probably
yeah.
could have just assumed that.
I was
Yeah.
hoping that there would be unicorns or sparkles or something involved.
It's magic.
It's just
Just have to
AI.
ask.
Oh,
AI is not bringing the sparkles.
great.
Are you guys gonna go with the ring, that ties into your phone? I think Samsung came out with this. Hey, Apple, you did a watch. We can do you one better. We can do a ring. I want just a little diamond nose stud that'll
Yeah.
tie into my.
Yeah, can I
Little
get a hoop?
projector.
Yeah,
Give me
It's a
directions.
hologram. That's awesome.
I think if anybody
Um,
figures out how to project onto open air, I think you're going to see all that tech.
That's the game changer.
Agreed.
Yeah. Once we have that technology, everything
Yep.
and
Yeah.
advertising will become the worst thing.
Oh.
We're
Oh,
already
yeah.
kind of there, but yeah.
I'm driving.
You're right.
Yeah. The first
remember seeing-
ones, the first ones will only work like if you're smoking.
Right.
You'll need some haze in the air to reflect off of.
That's going to be great for the tobacco industry. Can't wait.
Foldable smartphones
Nope.
came out.
They still exist. I'm still amazed
Mhm.
that they have not, like, we saw a 3-screener or a triple fold this year.
Oh.
It was pretty impressive.
My friend has one, and she said it's actually taking her back to times where she didn't constantly pay attention to her phone because she could
Yes.
physically just shut it and
Ooh.
tune it out instead
Yeah.
of being constantly alerted with the visuals. And then the one time where I'm like, maybe I should consider this is when she had it sitting on her dash, sitting, and it had the GPS just going. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. This was the first time I saw someone using one where I actually kind of thought I could actually see this being beneficial to my life
Mhm.
instead of just a gimmick.
That fold though, that crease.
It lasts.
That's
It lasts.
that's the new
That's
thing
the
is that
thing.
crease
That's-
really doesn't appear at this point.
Yeah, I don't
Exactly.
think I've ever noticed the crease in hers.
Mhm.
Really?
I don't know
Screen
exactly what
just
she
goes
has. now.
forever.
Yeah.
I got one where you can actually just wad it up in a ball, put it in your pocket.
Next, they're
Just
going to come out
opens.
with Botox for your phone.
Yeah.
Get the wrinkles out.
Feel it in. Fill it in.
Filler.
That's awesome. People going gangbusters with infrastructure for AI. Talk of spinning up 3 Mile Island to
Yeah.
power a data center.
Not the bad one, the good one.
Is there more than one 3 Mile Island
There are more reactors at 3 Mile Island than
than the one that went bad?
the bad one. Yeah, the other ones
Yeah.
were still going until 2017, and they're going to restart that one.
Go out there. It's a pull start.
Yep.
Like a Toro.
I think it's a hot start. They got to spin it. They got to crank the lever a bunch of times, and
I saw one,
know,
some
like-
old tractor that you had to put a shotgun shell in to start it. I was like, that's amazing.
Where was this?
Low code.
I have an idea, but
Low code is starting to get more traction now, and everything is becoming a low code platform. Everything we use has workflow in it now, and it's like they're all becoming each other. Slack is adding a lot more collaboration stuff, and
Slack is Teams and Teams is Slack. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Not yet.
is there gonna come now? Chad, you've been using Teams for your current engagement since you started over there. What do you think about the possibility of just switching from Slack over to Teams?
Great question. I actually did this at a previous, my last company. So I had a company we use Slack. Everybody loves Slack. We switched to Teams because the company had I don't know.
365, so it was built in.
Well, they had like the old MSDN thing. So like, hey, we get Teams for free. I'm like, okay, yeah,
Right.
but it sucked. It killed culture like so bad, right? Like, I don't know what it is about the Teams experience. I mean, there's a lot of things about using Teams that is not great, but if you have a vibrant Slack community and a vibrant set of channels and everything else, it does not translate to Teams in any way, shape, or form. So if you want to just absolutely take all the fun out of what we do on Slack, then yes, I would say go to Teams. It's better.
It's just not there yet.
It is
just
absolutely not.
Yeah. And I agree with what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. And I've never seen anyone like one-to-one try to convert Slack to Teams. Like there is no sense of channels really in Teams. Right. Yeah, that really. But there will be, I'm sure, someday.
I'm sure at some point somebody's going to suggest it for us. I've gone through it firsthand, and it absolutely just decimated whatever, I mean, especially for disconnected people like us that we're working from wherever and we don't actually exist in the same building a lot. Before we did that migration, or before we did that transfer, we did exist in the same building, and we still, loved having Slack. The cost savings of I forget what it was for us at the time, like $10 a head per month or something. It was 30 cents a day. Yeah, do that instead of your so-and-so free Teams license. It does not.
I have seen the reverse where Slack didn't exist and Teams was able to fill that role and have a good culture.
It was, so in a corporate setting, absolutely, just Teams is, whatever. You're not going to have a Fortune 5 company and have the entire organization on Slack. That doesn't make sense. But for a company our size, that is Slack's target. And it is almost unquantifiably better than Teams for
mess with something that's got great user adoption.
Right.
User adoption is like the hardest thing to figure out. And if people just take to something, then because it started grassroots and then it got big enough for us to go, well, we should probably pay for this. And we all started using it. And early on, we had the discussion and did the analysis. And back then, my answer was Teams is not there yet. And I'm a Microsoft guy.
If it ever went back, it would just become grassroots again, right? Like,
yeah,
even some of the trust factor, right? Like with Teams, it is not hard for you to get to read everybody's direct messages. With Slack, you have to put in a request, and there's a whole process. Like the workspace owner doesn't just get to read all the DMs. That's not a thing. Microsoft makes this a lot easier for anybody with the right amount of privilege to go in there and read everything. So you lose the trust of your employees. I'm sure maybe most folks aren't as intimately familiar with how all this works as I am, because I actually had to deal with this.
I was going to say it's probably by design from Microsoft to allow that to happen, but that dramatic change from the Slack, right?
I wonder how much of a role that plays in a company's selection of one tool versus the other.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what? It's all a company platform.
Yeah.
And it's all company property, and things happen and have to be investigated and all of that. But it's really about, your leadership and how kind of they want to roll. And we're just not doing Big Brother. I don't want to. We have all the audit tools. We have all the stuff in our admin center for Teams and all that stuff, and email, and they all have that capacity. You can write up a letter to Slack and get your data. I mean, it's all possible. It's just one is easier than the other. Mm-hmm. Natively in Slack, you don't see the private channels. Unless we pull all that data in and do that thing in Slack to get it, we don't see private channels. And I think that's fine. I think people don't need to know everything about everything, and people have to have some expectation of that things can be confidential between one another. But
that's a lesson that's learned over time. Like, I used to want admin credentials to everything. Oh, just give me the admin credentials. Just, I can do so much with the admin credentials. Just give them to me. Now, I don't want them. Please don't show me the admin credentials. Please don't let me have access to this. I do not want production access. I want somebody else to take over. Don't make it hard for me to get stuff implemented in production. but please don't let me do it.
That a
All right.
2024 highlight
I'll
for
take you out.
But you can look at my logins, Kyle, and you'll see how often I use it.
Oh yeah, it's like if you're covering for me, you might maybe have to use it. Peter's my backup for a lot of this stuff. So yeah, if you don't know, for a long time, Peter took care of our systems and did all that while we're doing his regular 9 to 5. We just heard some news about Google's Willow quantum computing processor.
It really quick. Can we work on our transitions a little bit? We went from nuclear power plants to low code, and then low code to Slack, and then Slack to Willow.
I just want to keep firing through these things. So I need you to stop me, Chad.
I kind of started thinking of OSN and SDG stuff again, and that was all the way in the beginning.
What do you want to revisit? Let's go back. There's enough other junk that happened that we can talk about next year.
Well, I really just want to talk about me. So, I'm on the GIPS committee, and we had some exciting news this year when we did a GIP to the Max with Second Harvest. So I got a number. We were able to collect with all the consultants enough to contribute around 82,000. Almost 83,000 meals to the community. So that was exciting. That was our Hungers subcommittee.
It's awesome.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess every year, folks, look out for Give to the Max, because that's when, at least for us, we do a quadruple match situation. But any other organization that you give to on Give to the Max, it's a double at least. So yeah,
it's fun too to go down there to Second Harvest and help pack stuff up events. And yeah, I folded boxes the whole time last time I was there, and my hands were just all cut up. But it was worth it. Yeah.
What other charitable things did we do
We're doing
this year?
Toys for Tots right now. That's going on.
We did a blanket drive for the
Blanket
first
drive.
time. I think there was like over 200 that were collected, and that's something, I forget what the numbers are, but they need an insane amount of blankets.
Yeah. I want to say we ended up around 140, something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was
people
still
were
good.
buying
I mean,
blankets,
they were
but
very appreciative.
There was a group that made some blankets.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. They call it tying. I don't know how that works. But more blankets exist now, which is good because it's cold outside.
Mm-hmm.
We did how many times did SDG go to what did we do? Feed My Starving Children or the other one?
We did Second Harvest. I think,
Harvest.
Yeah, folks. There were some smaller groups that I think did maybe some other organizations, but officially we do Second Harvest every year. Yeah,
that was sweet. I did Habitat for Humanity this year. I recommend that when it's not below zero.
Freezing.
Yeah.
Is that through SDG?
It was not, but next year I might bring something up because if you are attached to the right group of folks, it's not hard to get 4 or 5 people involved, and then it could be through SDG.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some regular groups that do it. Like if you don't have the skills to do whatever they needed to be done that day, there are guys there that can help you. And I did it selfishly because I needed to know how to fix up my house a little bit. And what better way than to volunteer? And
that is a really
on
good
someone else's
point.
house.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
If you ever want to pick up some carpentry skills, absolutely do Habitat for Humanity.
Yes.
The fellows that do it regularly, it's a group of retired folks that I connected with, and they will teach. They are the most patient men on the planet, and they will teach you literally everything. And then the idea is you do that for Habitat, and you do that for somebody else. And locally, go ahead.
I interned with Habitat during college, and it was. This feels so cliche, but it was a very rewarding experience, and to see the amount of effort put into not only building the houses themselves, but into bringing in people who both do and don't know what they're doing and making them feel like they are a part of the process just as much as the overall contractor and foreman. It's an incredible organization that I would love for us to do something with them. That would be amazing.
Well, yeah. And in the Twin Cities, we have one of the best organized, Habitat for Humanity chapters, I think, in the country.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you go to tchabitat.org, it's it's so easy. And you don't even have to if you don't want to build, they have stores around town. You can volunteer at the stores. You can stock shelves if you want to for Habitat. There's a lot you can do. So
Kyle, are you on the Gives committee this year?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
All right. So now you've got a new mission.
I do. I know. I was already thinking because we have like a collabs kind of subcommittee as well. And isn't there like a Slack community for DIY folks or folks that are in
Yeah, it's a home improvement channel.
home improvement
group.
stuff?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So it could be
For a
like a
while
little
was
collab
the-
opportunity.
Yeah, for a while it was the John Grimm Garage Project channel.
I've watched so many people build so many ridiculous things on that channel, and then it inspires me to do something at home. And then it's like that painting of the horse, you know, where on the first third is gorgeous and the second half is gorgeous, and then the head of the horse is the stick figure. I'm building stick figures. Yeah.
But everybody starts there.
Peter, any parting thoughts? Looking back,
You know, it's when I look back and when I look at the podcast, I think the best thing that I can say about the podcast is that we continue to do the podcast. We continue to care about the podcast. And week in, week out, we keep coming back. And so it's fun. It's a blast. I love talking to you guys. It's just a wonderful experience.
Peter and I have been doing this in some form or another
Over 5 years.
over 5 years. And we still love doing it.
And shout out to who started. It was like Baby J and who
Baby
else?
J, Ryan, Kyle, and me.
When
Yeah.
it was internal, right?
The seed of it was planted at a happy hour with Baby J and Ryan and Peter. And then Claire overheard and said, you should get Kyle because he'll do all the work.
You did not say it that way.
No. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And there was a breakfast. And it was a learning curve going through all of it.
It's kind of like Slack, right? You found something that you enjoyed and it carried itself. And that's the fun thing, right? Is Slack wouldn't be Slack if nobody posted there.
I'd like to call out the karaoke success that happened thanks to Brian, which karaoke at a company event.
It's a gamble.
Oh, man. And it is not in your favor. No.
Yeah.
But I thought it went pretty well. Pyle, were you there for that?
I was not.
She
I'm
abandoned
bummed that
me.
I missed it.
Let that be on the record.
Yep.
I sang the
Miss
saddest
Kyle singing.
songs I could possibly find. Yeah.
Love it.
And I appreciate, since she'll hear this, she has to hear this. It's part of her job. I appreciate Emily for singing a Taylor Swift song with me.
Yeah.
We sang
Yeah.
Love Story by Taylor Swift, and it was exquisite. We were embarrassingly good. At least that's how I remember it. Thank you, Emily. That was fun.
And a shout out to Emily. She edits the podcast every week. She puts it out. She finds the images. She creates the page. She puts it on YouTube. And, it's a lot of work for her to do, especially with
censoring chat
Chad's
alone.
filthy mouth.
We don't make
So
it easy
shout out
for
to
her.
you, Emily.
Hell yeah.
Don't edit
Thanks,
this
Emily.
out. Very shy and humble. Pyle, any parting thoughts?
Yeah. So thinking about this year, I think about the mullet making a comeback. And I feel like if the mullet can reinvent itself and bounce back and come back strong, why can't we? So that's my motivation for next year.
The mullet's greater than all of us, though.
Yes.
I was
Mullet.
gonna shave my head this weekend, but now I'm not. I'm gonna
So
go
fun.
mullet.
Go
Party
mullet.
over.
Let's go.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. That's my goal, is to have some semblance of a mullet by this time next year.
Yeah.
So mark that down. Well, thanks everybody. It's been a great year. Went by fast, but we'll be back for 2025.
Better than ever.
Happy holidays.
Mullets.
More mullety than ever. Yep.
The year of the mullet. All right.
We're good. Merry Christmas. See you guys.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and all. Solution Design Group is a digital product consultancy in Minneapolis. Check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Solution Design Group.